So I wanted to make this video and go into some details so I can actually help some people. I wanted to share my journey of how I went from making like $8 an hour to over six figures very quickly. I graduated high school in 2019. I'm only 24, and I definitely have more plans and anticipations to grow in terms of my career. There are plenty of ways to make money, but I definitely think that having a career and a skill set is something that is so greatly appreciated nowadays, and it's definitely something that you want to have to fall back on, even if you're making money outside of this. But I think for a lot of people that are falling within my age group, and even people who are older, are having a hard time navigating the job market. And I want to get you where you need to be. Um, so I just wanted to go over some main concepts. After high school, I graduated. I was told not to go to college, that I didn't need college. I was kind of just really lost. I never even worked in high school, so I was just lost. I didn't understand what a work ethic was. I didn't know what to do with my life. I just kind of felt like nothing. So I actually started to dive into me in particular working in. I wanted to work in tech. I definitely had a lot of interest in computers, but overall, I think my mindset needed to change, and there are several steps that I took in order to get myself familiar with multiple different job avenues that I could take and follow. So, I just wanted to go over this really quick and just explain how I got there. So, when I got out of high school, like I said, I was making, $8 an hour. I was working at like this museum pretty much, completely lost. I was trying to avoid working in fast food, but even when I was applying at fast food places, I was getting rejected. I had a BS resume because I had no work experience. I had a lot of volunteering experience, but I didn't necessarily have to work in high school. But I've definitely found that, even if you have had a job in high school, I don't necessarily think that means that you have a better work ethic than the next person. I think a lot of people in this age group, um, a lot of people in general, just in this country, have a hard time finding or discovering or growing or getting a stronger work ethic. And I actually think it's non-existent in a lot of people. I only job I'm going to go over like some concepts in terms of like job hopping and things like that. And hopefully this motivates you to get up off your yeah. And actually put some work in so you can actually have a stable job, career, skill that can allow for you to pay your bills quicker than usual. And I also want to let you know that you are fully capable of doing anything and everything that I have done and doing even more than I have done. So, yeah, I'm making over six figures now. I want to get you guys there with no bullshit. So, I want to go over where are you now? Some of you might be working at like Amazon or like a factory job, and Amazon pays decent money. I used to always think like, oh, I'm gonna make $20 an hour when I'm by the time I'm 20 years old or whatever the case might be. Very small-minded thoughts. And I realized that working at jobs like Amazon or factories or whatever the case might be puts you in a position where you are surrounded by other people who are extremely small-minded. And that's no diss to them or anything like that. I met some awesome people while working in these factory jobs, but I definitely found and struggled with the idea that everyone around me has been here for God knows how long. They're literally just here to get a paycheck, to pay their bills, and that's literally it. And I knew I wanted more than that a long time ago, but I definitely met some interesting personalities while working here. A lot of the people have a high school education, maybe even less, or possibly even felonies, whatever the case might be. And that doesn't mean you can't work with people who only have high school educations or felonies. But when you're working in such a small-minded facility like like Amazon or whatever factory you might be working in, it kind of has like a high school vibe to it, and you'll start having like high school conversations, high school relationships, and high school relationships with just coworkers, and it's really annoying. And then people end up dating each other and all this extra stuff. You want to avoid that at all costs. Now, if you're working there just to get by, like I started working there and then I ended up finding what my passion was. I was really passionate in computers, built a computer, and then I was like, hey, I want to do this. So I actually ended up enrolling in community college, so then I can learn a skill, so then I can go apply to actual jobs and get ahead. And make actually felt like I was doing something. So you got to definitely assess where you are now. Are you at Amazon? Are you flipping burgers? Do you have no skills? Those are the three things that like those are some of the things that we just need to address immediately. Be conscious and be aware of where you are right now. It doesn't mean you're going to end up there and stay and remain there, but you can stay and remain there if you keep in the same mindset. Another thing that I always look at is annual median earnings by age. Um, if you're 16 and 19, maybe you're 18 years old working at a factory, whatever the case might be, you might be like, oh, I'm doing okay just by doing this. But you can definitely get above what people peak at, which is at the age 45 to 54 years old. You can get there quicker than you know. I definitely think that you can get there probably within a year or two if you really dedicate yourself towards something. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to commit to college, but you have to commit to getting a skill. You're going to hold yourself back if you stay at these places like Amazon, or if you want to go flip the burgers or drop the fries, be my guest. But you're holding yourself back and you're fully capable of doing more. And it doesn't always include like getting a higher education or whatever the case might be. It might just include like going and getting a certification, uh, improving your talking skills, improving just your knowledge in general. You might not even have to get certified in things, but you need to find a skill that you're interested in so you can follow that job avenue. So you can, triple, double, whatever the case might be, your current salary. Now, you might be making this 30 grand a year and think, oh, I pay my bills, whatever, that's okay. But you got to want more for yourself. And that's one of the biggest struggles that I had to deal with. I had to get out of this small minded area that was here because so many people here have this wee little pipsqueak brain and they will push their ideals onto you. And it's not intentionally, it's just by being in proximity to them, just like being in your home. My parents always told me, oh, don't go to college. You don't need to go to college, stuff like that. People around you are going to influence you more than you know. And that doesn't just include your friends, it includes your coworkers, includes your, any peers you might have. It just includes everybody around you. So you have to take into consideration that your environment is influencing you probably the most as of right now. If you have no work ethic or mindset of your own as far as what you want to do, who you are, or anything like that. So this is something that I often look at now. I've been looking at this for years. I always look up what the median earnings are by age. It's kind of like motivation to me seeing um, people definitely peak at 45 to 54 years of age. And that's not to say that I'm not going to keep growing and peaking in terms of my salary, but you want to see like, hey, if that's median, um, and I'm halfway there. I don't want to wait until I'm, 30, 40, 30 years down the line, 20, 30 years down the line, and I'm only getting $60,000. Now $60,000 is a comfortable wage to be able to afford your bills and stuff. It's definitely better than the $30,000, which a lot of people make working at these base level jobs. But you definitely want to get to that level as soon as possible. And if you are one of those people, then you want to keep listening. Um, so yeah, you can definitely achieve this. I don't care what your background is, how unintelligent you think you are. I can get you there. So let's talk about why you're feeling stuck. Now, I know I spoke previously about your friends and how your family might influence you, and as well as even your circle and everyone around you. Your circle will keep you so small minded. If you keep listening to the people around you who are doing a whole lot of nothing, you absolutely will end up a whole lot of nothing. Not to say you have to cut everyone off, but you do need to take a step back and realize what is your identity at this point? What do you want in life? What are your goals? And what is your why? Your why is what's going to motivate you to go even try to pursue a job or different career field or whatever the case might be. If you don't have a why, you're not going to get far at all. So determine what your why is. For me, I live on my own. So my why is definitely being able to afford like a comfortable roof over my head. And my why is also like wanting children in the future. Your why might be just wanting to get a Lamborghini or wanting to get a Corvette or whatever the case might be. What is your why? You will not get to your why if you cannot escape this small mind that your circle provides. And you might even be and it's a lot of the things around you that are influencing you. And it's not just your circle, it's also like the media that you're taking in and soaking in. That stuff can keep you extremely small minded. So you want to take all of that into consideration and reflect on yourself. Determine what your why is. If you don't have a why right now, I don't know how far you're going to get. And if you haven't necessarily determined what your why is, you have to take a step back, reevaluate, what does your life look like 10 to 15 years down the line? What are you here for? What is your purpose? And you don't have to have that completely figured out, but figure out a why so you can start somewhere. And a lot of people feel stuck because they also have unrealistic goals. You're soaking in all this media of people having, 10, 15 houses and cars and all this extra stuff and watches and clothes and all of that. If all that you're absorbing is that, you're definitely going to set unrealistic goals for yourself. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to get a $30,000 raise this year, you go, I'm going to make $1 million tomorrow. That's the most unrealistic thing I've ever heard. Now, and people might think, oh, but that is possible. It is possible. But when you are wanting to go from 0 to 100 pretty much overnight, you'll get way more de-influenced within this path right here of trying to get to this big giant goal. You'll get way more de-influenced. You'll actually de-influence yourself from achieving that giant goal because this path is so short and unrealistic. That doubt is just going to grow even bigger. So take a step back and reassess, what are your goals? and why, and how large are they at this point? Setting small goals is going to get you to the greatest and biggest goal. So just keep that in mind, because I see a lot of people in this age group are definitely stuck and they feel like they can't do anything because they need to have things overnight. Some things take time, some things take process. Doubling your salary, even getting a $15,000 to $20,000 raise is a huge step, especially when you're making, $30,000 a year. So set that as a goal before you shoot for like the six figures or whatever. That's the way that I was able to move and grow in my personal field. Your mindset. I touched on this a bit, the growth outlook. You want to determine what your goals are and envision yourself as growing at all times. You got to look at life as if nothing in the previous or the past matters. I definitely had to forget about a lot of my old ways, behaviors, and habits in order to grow, and constantly be in a state of I'm going to grow, I'm going to get there, I have to get there, I will get there. Because if you stay in this negative mindset, or oh, but I did this before, and I know that I did this, none of that matters. If you can't act on what's going to happen tomorrow, you're going to feel completely lost in this whole entire process. And also, projection is very real. The words that you put outside of your body affect you greatly. If you don't believe that you're capable of doing something, nobody else is going to believe that you're capable of doing something. And the only person that ever needs to believe that you're capable is you at all times. If you ever doubt yourself once, you're going to put yourself into this hole of just being in the negative at all times. And you never want to be in that state. So watch what you say and watch the words that you put out. I definitely believe that through projection and having just a growth mindset, you can get to um, not just your small goals, but your big goals as well. Those little wins add up and you don't even know it. And it starts with the words that you're saying. And definitely, I touched on this previously, being over influenced by the people that are around you or being over influenced by the media that you're consuming. You got to get off that phone. You got to get off that game. You got to do things that are more productive, that allow you to influence yourself. Your only influence should be yourself. Because if you are at level 0 and your favorite influencer is at level 100, you're always going to be like, dang, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. I wish I was there. But you're never getting to your own personal level 5. That's the issue, is why people stay so stagnant, because you're so focused on not being at the top. You never take yourself along that journey. And if you're never able to take yourself along that journey, you'll never take risk on yourself. And your mindset is going to be crapped out. You're going to never take risk. And you're never going to allow yourself to be able to grow. And you're going to look back on your life and you're going to go, dang, I wish I did that, or I wish I did this. And that's definitely not where you want to be. So these are just some of the things that I follow in order to go from, making $8 to $100,000 a year. It starts with your mindset. It starts with assessing where you are in life. And it can happen very quickly for you. And I want to just give you the proof that it's all possible. Now, here are some common like jobs that you can do. I know a lot of people I don't want people to click off of this and think like, oh, I have to go to college or whatever the case might be. All of these roles require for people to not have to go to college necessarily, but they do take some effort. Um, I want people to understand that learning does not just mean college. Learning is something that you should be doing at all times. You shouldn't just be shooting to just be existing. If you stop learning, that's when you stop dying, and you're going to have a heck of a hard time getting lost in the misery that is your life if you cannot encourage yourself to learn something. That doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I need to be the smartest. You definitely don't. For example, I often refer a lot of people to being executive assistants or pursuing being an executive assistant, which is basically someone who like handles like scheduling, sending emails, and things of that nature, handling calendars, etc. Um, and they work kind of like that's kind of considered like HR, an HR role or HR assistant role. You'll be and this I know it says 60 to $90,000. I see some people making over six figures as executive assistants. Very often, I do see women working in this field, so I do refer women to work in this, but also men can do it as well. But it just takes you getting extremely familiar with being organized and mastering like Microsoft Office, Google Workspace. That's super easy. And you can get into this field with 2 to 5 years of admin experience. Might start off making, $20, $25 an hour, which is a lot more than some people make. But you can definitely get to that six-figure mark without having to go to college to do these things. You can also become a project coordinator, payroll specialist, a good one. Some good ones are like being in IT. You can definitely get into these roles without um, college, but I personally work in tech and I did go to college, but I definitely did get my roles without having like a degree or anything like that. and web developers and stuff, but it does encourage for you to learn. Like you would have to go get some certifications. These certifications are entry level, extremely easy. People overthink these, and I can definitely get you through these really quickly. But there are plenty of roles that require for you to just go get a certification. Some roles might be in like construction or safety or whatever the case might be, which are really great fields to be in. I don't know why people over glorify um, job fields when there's actually money everywhere. I would definitely say just find something that you are slightly interested in and shoot for it. You can't hop all over the place, at least not without some experience. If you are going from working at Amazon to going into like maybe your first executive assistant role, do not jump into going into tech tomorrow. Stick to the executive assistant thing unless you're extremely miserable in it and unable to excel in it. You don't want to be hopping all over the place. You got to pick one and focus on it. Just 2 years of focusing on something can get you, double your salary. And that's the way that I was able to go from that $8 to $100,000. It didn't go from $8 to $100,000 overnight. It took 3 small jumps for me to get there. So just be aware that your entire life can change in pretty much 2, 3 years if you focus on one specific path that doesn't require for you to go to school. So don't feel intimidated by any of these roles. I believe that anybody can become any of these things. Some of these include like trades, being in HRs. There's even like roles, like I said, in safety and construction that are also awesome that I can refer you to. And one of the biggest things that you just need to focus on is what is your why and how you're going to pivot. And I can definitely assist you in pivoting into any avenue. I believe I can take anybody from working an average, factory job to having, a career that they actually enjoy or semi enjoy, but definitely increasing your salary as soon as possible. So these are just some of the things that I go have gone through my mind and have allowed for me to grow in this aspect. I'm going to continue to make videos on this and just give you no BS on how to actually get there and grow in this market. I know this market is brutal, but we can get through it together. So make sure you interact with this video and I can definitely help you guys out.